Boom. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the LC Podcast, the Sunday show where we talk about gaming, tech, and all sorts of different things. It's a general show. That's what we do here. How's it going, guys? How's your weekend going?
It's going great.
Just started.
Cool.
The weekend just started on Sunday.
It's cool.
I worked yesterday, so.
Fair enough.
Technically.
I think it's the first Sunday, Graydon, you haven't worked in
Yeah, it's been a while.
over a month.
In generations.
We've seen him once again.
It's been a fortnight.
Oh, speaking of Fortnite. That was beautiful, Eric. I was trying to figure out how to worm that in there, and you just fucking rolled out the red carpet for me. Damn. Holy shit, this is a good
Damn it,
podcast.
man.
All right, so Fortnite.
I think I gotta go. See you guys.
No, this is a good story. You're staying here. You don't disconnect. So Fortnite's been in the news. Do you guys know anything about this going in?
I heard the end of Fortnite. That's about it.
Is it? I heard
Ninja
something about the iOS stuff.
Exists.
Yeah.
They're contemplating if iOS if you can play Fortnite anymore on your mobile.
Oh,
So let
Apple
weren't they
v.
suing?
Epic.
me tell you a story.
Apple v. Epic. Okay.
So
I thought it was a different story for some reason.
No,
Sorry,
it's a
sorry,
good
sorry,
it's a good story.
sorry.
This is actually an interesting story. I'm committed to the story. So this week, Fortnite announced it was reducing the prices of V-Bucks. This isn't a sale; it's a permanent decrease. So this it was about like a $2 or $3 decrease, and it was found everywhere, but on mobile devices. On mobile, there's two payment options. You can pay directly via PayPal or credit card for like $6 or $7, or do an in-app purchase for $10. This is because Fortnite is now rebelling against Apple and Google on its app policies. Like, just Apple and Google take 30% of all in-app purchases. That's a big pile of change.
That is a big percentage.
And Apple's
Could you imagine?
What?
Could you imagine if they reduced that to 10%? How much cheaper those microtransactions would be?
Oh, exactly.
Say they took 10% of every app they did, which is still that's still, when you think of how many apps are on Android or on Google and they're on Apple,
Billions.
they still make a stupid amount of money from it.
And
If anything, they'd make more money because people would be more inclined to buy them. Because right now, you look at stuff like, I'll use because the only game that I play that has them right now is I guess I don't really play Pokemon Go anymore, but Fallout Shelter I play occasionally, just like as a waste time game. And they have their you can buy their lunch boxes, and then for X amount of dollars. I could see them getting so many more people to buy those if they weren't so expensive. And I mean, sometimes you blame the company, but I guess it's you always forget that the host of the app always takes a percentage, and the companies have to adjust their prices based on that.
And Apple's especially so bad for that. They play favorites, and they very clearly destroy competition before it gets its boots on the ground. Like some apps, Apple's like, oh, we got to take 40% from your app. And there's others apps like reader apps like Netflix and Spotify, 0 fees. It's like, Apple, why they have lots of money, take their money. And then we look at
almost as if they're stakeholders in the company.
Yeah, imagine that. And then there's stuff like xCloud or Google Stadia where Apple just bans it outright because you don't pay for the membership through Apple, so they don't get their 30%, and B, it's probably interfering with their gaming services. So they just have the power to
quick sideline just on that. I have been an iPhone person my whole life. It's not I don't really care about what phone I have. That's the only reason I've now been you know what, maybe I don't want iPhone anymore, is them being you can't have xCloud. It's a service I'm already paying for. I want it. Mm-hmm. Let me have it.
Well, that's always been the issue, right? When you got with Apple, is a lot of the PC companies work a lot more in tune with each other. They'll push, it's for them, it's more how many software can I get on? Because I mean, that's what PC was. PC was the business side, and Apple was supposed to be the personal computer, where it was for the individual that wasn't looking for anything major, and they really built their brand off of that. And I think that's almost come to hurt them now, because now they're reaching more into companies, they're reaching more into areas of industry that are not just personal computer. It's like, why aren't they playing nice with everyone? You know what I mean? Like, why can't you just have it so that you can run these different services? I know it's money and it makes it better for them, because then if you're with Apple, you have to basically either be all Apple or partially Apple, or sorry, all Apple or no Apple, because if you have an Apple device, it doesn't usually play super well with other devices that are not Apple. Like, it's usually a huge workaround to get anything working properly on it. I mean, if you have all Apple, things work beautifully, but you don't. That's a shit show.
You guys, here, so I'm sorry if you mentioned it already, but Apple's also thinking in the works, supposedly, with a subscription service and bundling certain things together.
Really?
Yeah, so like you pay X amount to have access to the cloud or FaceTime, or they're just going to section off parts of what they do, where you have to pay a subscription to get access to it. Wasn't there other thing that they're trying to make them, like, their whole business plan is make things affordable for the average person? Isn't that what their whole thing is? Make it affordable and simple for use for people. No.
You know,
that's their original business plan, right? Was to make it affordable.
Like 40 years ago.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, now they're just fucked.
You know,
now they're like, how much money can we squeeze out of this fucker?
Yeah, like, they only made $260 billion last year, so obviously they need to make a bit more. Get to that 300.
They didn't hit the 300 mark. Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
If you're not making $1 trillion, are you even really a company?
No.
Exactly.
Come on.
Oh shit.
Yeah. But I don't know exactly what they're trying to subscription off to the side, but they were trying to do that. I'm gonna see if I can find it right now.
That's
So, like, Fortnite's done all this, but now, as you guys brought up at the beginning, now Epic is actually suing Apple, which is a pretty big step. These are two fucking giants just battling it out. If there was a UFC night with these two, I'd be in.
I feel like you skipped over the part that like Epic pretty much baited Apple into doing that too, because they broke terms of service on the actual App Store. Like, whether or not what Apple's doing is shitty, like, they did break terms of service. So
this would be
they had the right to kick them off. But yeah, now Epic has also the right to sue because of, competition practices and all that. So it's just they baited them into a lawsuit.
It was very clearly this giant plan, because they did the update, and then they put out that ad, that anti-Apple ad, where it's very clearly making fun of Apple, and at the end they just blatantly say Epic Games has defied the App Store monopoly. In retaliation, Apple is blocking Fortnite from 1 billion devices. Join the fight. It's like,
this would be the perfect time for Microsoft just to sneak their dirty little fingers in there and be like, "Hey, Epic, we got your back," and then have it go exclusively to, like, their Microsoft phones now that they have.
Yeah,
this would be like the prime opportunity, because if Microsoft backed Epic in this, I don't think Apple could win. I wholeheartedly believe that they would hurt Apple big time if they did that.
Well, one thing that's already happening is that Samsung and Fortnite are beginning to work together, because it's banned off the Google Play Store as well. So Fortnite's saying, go to the Samsung App Store to download it, because they allow that. So that's already generating a whole pile of traffic towards there. So, like, I can't imagine the back-end business
Apple and Google might have fucked up a little bit. Google will be fine because they have their dirty fingers dipped into a bunch of everything, but Apple might be a little bit.
I think they're gonna.
I think Apple will in the end be fine, obviously, because it's a multi-billion-dollar corporation. But I think it's gonna result in, like, some changes to the App Store, which is good.
Yeah,
it depends.
The funniest part when I first heard this news too is, like, they were saying, like, Apple subscription service, and then there's, like, in other news, Apple stock went up 1.2%. It's like, wow.
Shareholders like, yes.
Like, yeah, screw them over. So right here is what I'm reading. A basic package will include Apple Music and Apple TV, while more expensive variation will have 2 extra services: Apple Arcade Gaming, Apple News Plus, and then extra iCloud storage for files and videos.
That's
We not have-
that's
we
not as
have
bad as I thought you would make it. I thought it was going to be like, to use FaceTime, you have to pay $5 per call. And it was like, oh, the fuck, no. But if it's like Apple Music, I don't even use that anymore.
No one does. Everyone's switching over to Spotify because it's just dominating that whole sector. Google. My sister was using Google Play Music and she absolutely hates it.
I'll occasionally use YouTube Music just because I like watching music videos, but like I don't even consider that a music. Like,
no, that's kind of different because then you're watching more
yeah.
for the video than you are for just the music. Whereas Spotify is just exclusively music and podcasts. I mean, I don't know. I know a lot of people who have Apple devices, and I think I met one person in my life who actually, like, one person that I know has openly said, I use Apple Music as my main music, or I'll be like, oh, look it up on Spotify or something, and they'll be like, no, I only have Apple Music, but I'll look it up on there.
That's where you defriend them.
I know Evan used to have Apple Music, but he switched over to Spotify.
It's just so beneficial because, I mean, if you're not using a lot of music, you can cancel your subscription. Then you can literally restart it when you start using more music instead of having to buy music and then not have it. I mean, you still have that option, right? When, like, I know there's people who like to collect things like CDs and records, but for the most part, at that point, it's better just to stream it because you get access to it instantly for like a really cheap price.
Convenience.
Yeah.
Yeah. All about
Yeah, I
that
have vinyls
convenience.
just for the novelty of it.
Shut windows down, air conditioning.
He was here and then he was gone.
That was spooky.
We good.
I hate when ghosts invade, man. Oh.
Eric just got cyber attacked.
Just kind of on that line of because we're kind of talking more along the lines of like consumers or like the businesses making consumers happy or companies that work with them. We did get that notification that Halo Infinite was being delayed because of the graphics. They apparently people weren't happy with the graphics. And I kind of wanted to talk about this because I know with you guys, you were like, oh, that's awesome. It kind of makes us think of the old original Halo design, like that style of graphic. And I don't know why they were so pressured to change it. Like, it.
Did you
I never actually heard like about them saying they're changing it because of the graphics. I just heard they were like, because of COVID, we're delaying it because we're not as far along as we want to be. Because when I was watching the trailer, I didn't see any problems with the graphics as far as I could tell. Granted, I was just excited to be seeing Halo, so I might have just not paid as much attention, but I thought it looked great.
The point I was going to make is it's not supposed to be a realistic game, right? Like, it's not supposed to be necessarily realistic graphics. It's a sci-fi based thing. So I was thinking, well, why not have just a newer version of the old design and keep that look to it? Like that was my thing. Is like certain games have a certain look. Not every game is trying to be like the Forza games where they're trying to make it as surreal as possible in their game.
Have you guys seen some of the screenshots they provided? They are not good looking.
Can you shoot them in the Discord? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I can. Just wait. It looks like a 360 game. Some of the screenshots, and there was like that whole Bruce the whatever his name is. There was that meme
Bruce?
around it. Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but yeah, no, the link I sent to an article, just one screenshot, but that is not a next gen game. That is not even a this gen game.
You're not wrong. Yeah, you're not wrong.
No, you're not wrong.
I mean, I do kind of like how it looks, just in terms of the stylization, but like it
gives me Halo vibes.
It doesn't look modern.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look like Halo, which that is good. It compared to Halo 4 and 5, I like the look, but it does need some
almost made it more
overhauls.
They made it almost more cartoony than anything,
which I think is good. I think that's how Halo was. They kind of made it too detailed, I think, in 4 and 5, if you know what I mean. There's too many lines. It was too like blocky, I feel.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but that's just always what I felt with Halo 4 and 5.
No,
Where,
that's
like,
when that
The original trilogy, they were like sleek. Like the assault rifle, it felt like smooth, like bah, 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 and then they turned into some weird, like, chunky, blocky thing. That's always my comparison.
I just always associated it with that cartoony design, and surprised when they went away from it. Like, I mean, Grade and I played through all of them. I mean, everyone here has played through all of them, but Grade and I played through all of them pretty recently, and yeah, like I always liked the design of the original ones, and I made many comments during the fourth one because we never played 5. We just decided it wasn't really worth it for me because I wasn't super connected to the story as much. And from what I heard, 5 was not great. So I mean, based on that, like I found that it wasn't. I've made many comments where it didn't feel like a Halo. Like when I was playing Halo 1, 2, and 3, they felt like a Halo game. They felt all pretty similar. Like the design was similar. When I played Halo 4, it felt like I was playing Call of Duty. Like that'd be the best comparison I can have to it. It's just like the campaign style felt like Call of Duty. Like everything just felt that way. But I mean, I'm kind of with you, Eric. I can see, Peter, you're 100% correct. Those graphics need to be overhauled for sure to make it a little more crisp. But I wouldn't mind if they kept that same art design, just make it crisp.
Yeah, it's like in Borderlands 3. Like that looks like this generation game, but it still maintains that cartoony, cel-shaded aspect. They need to do that.
Yeah, they just need to mess with the colors. Like it's amazing what happens when you make the colors more vibrant and have a larger color palette that you can use in your games with the new gen graphics.
It's just gonna be a matter of like putting some significant textures on like the environment, because I'd say the actual character models look pretty good. It's just the environment looks kind of shitty.
Well, like I know that like the guy with the beard, the main human we've seen thus far, I know like in the initial trailer he looked prime compared to like the gameplay footage they showed somewhat recently. I know people were like, big difference there, but that's also like, you know, trailers always
cinematic trailer versus gameplay. You can always do more with the cinematic trailer than you can with the gameplay.
They have made like huge strides in that, where like in-game cutscenes compared to like CGI cutscenes, they almost look like seamless and flawless in how they like transition. I was playing Devil May Cry 5, and that was going from like CGI cutscene where it's carefully choreographed, and then it goes into gameplay, and it's just seamless. It doesn't even seem like it's going from cutscene mode to video game mode, and I think that's what they need to kind of strive for.
I will say, I will give this to Halo. I feel like in the past we've had too many games release and they weren't finished. Like, I mean, Fallout 76 is a good example. Fallout 4, Bethesda's notorious for releasing incomplete games. There's a few others that have come out that you're just like, they could have been better upon release, like graphically, gameplay wise. So it's nice to see companies are starting to acknowledge that it's like, if something's not there, let's do something about it. I will agree with, because Peter's made this comment about Cyberpunk a few times. I will agree with this, is like, they need to be kept in check with how long they delay a game. Like, you're almost better. One of my favorite things, and this is like the one thing that I will say that Bethesda actually did good. They don't do it anymore, which I don't know why, but they wouldn't announce a game until it was ready to be released, or quotations ready. Fallout 4 was not ready, but Fallout 3 was. They did the same thing with Fallout 3, where they didn't announce it until it was like ready.
Fallout
to be
4 was ready.
The graphical design could have been a little better with their engine.
Oh, okay.
Like the game itself was fine. Like it played well. It wasn't as much of an RPG as the others because it kind of forced you to be the good guy. But for the most part, no, you're right. It did good. But like, I like when games do that. Like, just don't announce it. Like, wait until you know that this product is there, and then announce it. Like, I find it's like now they've announced Elder Scrolls 6. Well, you probably won't see Elder Scrolls 6 for another 8 years. Like, I don't understand why they would even bother announcing it. You're literally saying to people, okay, get ready, in 10 years you'll play it, and then by then it's like, well, who knows what else is going to be out.
We're going to have Avowed, and people will probably think Obsidian's beat the shit out of Bethesda once again.
Yeah, so I just don't. I mean, you got to play that line, and I find it's almost becoming too easy for companies to be like, oh, we're gonna postpone it. Oh, we'll postpone it again. Oh no, we're gonna keep postponing it. It's like, just don't announce it until you think it's ready, because it just seems like it's like what we were talking about, where it's like, you want to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row before you actually fucking do something, instead of all this promising, and then you make people uneasy. Like, the more they delay something, the more I'm like, oh shit, how unfinished is this game when they keep delaying it? Like, for certain things it's fine. Like, if you have, like, for example, a company, then for these times with COVID, and you're like, we're delaying it because we had to reduce our workers in the facilities, that's fair. But I don't know. I feel like companies are relying too much on the fact that they can just be like, delayed, and they just don't. Instead of doing what some companies will do, where they're like, it's delayed indefinitely until we decide that it's ready to go, instead of just keep pushing back a release date.
I think it's generally easy to tell if a game is in development hell or not. Like, even though Cyberpunk's been pushed a bunch, I don't think it's in development hell at all. Like, it's still clearly their main focus. It's not being switched hands to different developers at all. I think, like, that's where it really gets concerning, is if you can tell that, like, the passion has just dwindled and no one in the company gives a shit anymore. None of the games that have been delayed, I see, have, like, had that issue so far. Like, I'm not worried about Cyberpunk being bad or
that's also
any of the other games coming out.
It's also a delicate line to walk, to just announce or just release a game, because you want to build up some sort of a hype, I guess. Like, I guess a decent example of that would be the recent Ghost of Tsushima game that just came out for PS4. I guess they had a trailer like 4 years ago. They announced it at some con, went quiet, and it just came out. I had no idea about it. It's out. It got really popular, but there's a chance that it couldn't have been, because no one knew anything, because it was said 4 years ago.
Well, I'm talking within reason to that, right? Like, I'm talking with, I'll use the Fallout 4 again. Like, a Fallout game from Bethesda hadn't been announced, hadn't even been talked about. It'd been rumored. People talked about how there had been things talking about Boston and the MIT and all that stuff, and that was there. But they gave it about, I guess, because when's E3 usually? It's in June, right? It's like the first week of June. So they gave it almost.
They gave like 2 or 3 months.
I thought it was 4, because didn't it come out in February?
I thought it was September. I'm pretty sure it's September of the same year.
But either way, like, they give it enough time to build up hype. Like, because they also have the anticipation people build up. It is a fine line you have to walk. Like, you gotta have enough that you build up enough excitement for it. But I don't know. I think, like, maybe find the middleman. Like, not 4 years ago, but maybe within a year. Like, have a year announcement where it's like, this game's coming out this year. We're good to go. And then that's the build-up hype time. But to be like,
I think
like, you can,
that's usually industry standard.
Yeah, because like you look at it now. Like, what else they have? They have
Starfield.
So they have Starfield that they have announced. They have the next Skyrim coming out, and then so realistically, if we're looking at a timeline of how Bethesda does, because they don't release usually a lot of games, they release one game at a time. You're looking at, okay, we'll have Starfield. They've literally teased a little tiny thing of it quite a while ago.
2018.
Yeah, 2018. Haven't seen anything on it since. And then you have Elder Scrolls 6, which if they have nothing on Starfield, I can guarantee you right now, Elder Scrolls 6 is merely in the introductory phases of making. So it's like, to me, that's way too long. Like, you need to find, I think like this, the industry standard of a year announcement is perfect. Like, if you're coming out within a year, perfect. If you're going any earlier than that, or too late, like if you're announcing it a month before, I mean, sometimes that could be enough hype depending on the company. But if you're not a big company, at least that year would be perfect. The 7, 8 year, 9 year, 12 year announcements is just fucking stupid.
I don't know. I liked how Fallout did it. I looked into it a little bit more. They announced it in June, and it came out in November. That's like, what, 5-6 months? That's I think that's That I think was
Well,
most
how about-
optimal for creating hype and being able to easily maintain that level of hype.
Well,
Well,
they
how-
also did it really well with the Fallout Shelter.
True.
Right.
Well, because they announced Fallout 76, but then they're like, also Fallout Shelter.
Wasn't Fallout Shelter with Fallout 4?
Oh no, it was.
I think it was Fallout 4.
It was Fallout 4.
Do you even
'Cause
like
that's
Fallout?
also no, not anymore.
Can I throw an honest opinion right now?
Uh-oh.
I think I've given a little bit of thought. I think we're done with Fallout. I think they could stop making Fallout games. I'd be fine with that. I think they're at the point now where if they continue that much farther, it's just going to get worse, and it's just going to get fatigue, series fatigue, kind of like Assassin's Creed in a way.
What about
You have to
Jared's
be
new
careful.
locations?
No, you'd have to be careful with that one because you're not as in tune. Like they have a pretty dedicated fan base. It may tear them to shreds.
I don't give a shit about their fan base.
It may shit on them.
Tell you what I say.
Fuck
No,
you,
but
fans.
that's what I'm saying. Like, game companies usually base it on if their fan base is still there. Unless there's certain companies where they're like, we're setting out a trilogy and that is the end of it, or we're having a
Yeah,
one-off
but-
game and that is the end of
But
it.
do you want? I mean, the classic saying: do you want to live long enough to become the villain or die a hero?
I wouldn't mind if they did it. They got another company to make it.
Because right now they're dying. They're dying like a villain.
Yeah,
They're
but
not
if you
even
look at it-
succeeding. They're just dying terribly.
Yeah. Great, and you have to look at it. If they made a game more like Fallout 3 or like the original Fallouts, like they've talked about remastering the original Fallouts and making them first person instead of a top-down strategy slash RPG, you'd have pretty big hype because those games are actually pretty sick. They just have absolute shit.
There's a difference between making a new game and remastering an old one.
Well, you said
Like,
be done
they
with Fallout.
Do that.
Yeah, but you said
What?
be done with Fallout.
Hey, you try that one. Sorry, one more time.
No, I said you said to be done entirely with Fallout. My thing is like
I've done with new IPs.
I would like to see them. I would like to see them remake the old ones and then hire another company, just like they did for Fallout New Vegas with Obsidian. They basically subletted it out to Obsidian and said, "Hey, can you guys make us a game?" Unfortunately, they made them have a stupid fucking time restriction, which is like they're like, "Oh, we'll take 8 years to make a game, but you guys have." I think it was like. It was like 18 months or something
6 minutes. Oh.
to make Fallout New Vegas. So to me, it's just like I think if a company like that or any company that has a series like that going, I think it's fine to keep it going. But if you're no longer being successful with it, just sublet it out to other companies to give other companies a try to add their twist on it, see what happens. Like the reason Fallout's crashing is because they've gone away from what Fallout is, which is an RPG. The Fallouts are no longer the last two Fallouts. Fallout 4 was a loose RPG. It was an RPG but forced you in a linear direction. Fallout 76 had no RPG elements. It was just a shooter, survival, open world kind of thing. Fallout New Vegas was the last one that had a true RPG mechanic where it was like your choices did matter. Like people would not like you. Whereas like I can literally go and in Fallout 4, you can go massacre the railroad. But everyone in the Commonwealth is like, man, you're so good. You're helping the Minutemen. You're such a good guy, even though you absolutely slaughtered this group of people. Or it's like you look at, if you look at those instances, it's like those should change how other people in the world react to you. So I think if Bethesda decided to continue Fallouts, they need to go back to a true RPG element. Otherwise, I'm with you. Like they shouldn't bother making one if they're going to keep delving away from it, because that's what the fan base enjoyed about it, is that it was choice-based RPG. What you did mattered, whereas now it's no longer that. Like the last two Fallout are not. What you do does not matter.
I think, if anything, the way Fallout should trend is just release, keep what they have, remaster games, whatever. Just implement more mods. Give that option to people and release it to the public to make people what they want to make.
They do.
Brayden's point, I guess, like I would be more excited for an Outer Worlds 2 than I would be a Fallout 5.
That's fair. For me, I would as well, depending on who the company made it. Like, if Obsidian was to have a chance at it again for another Fallout, I'd be pretty stoked.
Yeah,
for it.
but
or if like
that's not happening.
I mean, the fact that Bethesda removed the New Vegas trailers from their YouTube channel really was kind of like a middle finger to Obsidian.
I mean, now that
And
Microsoft owns it,
has, they got
own
their
them.
fingers all up in that.
I would see. There's a few companies I'd like to see. Like I'd love to see a Fallout made by CD Projekt Red. Sorry,
That'd be interesting.
That'd be a cool. I'd be really down for that. So that's my thing. Is like I think Bethesda needs to stop, or they need to really make up for shit because they're not on a good trend right now. But I'd love to see someone like CD Projekt Red or Obsidian have another shot at a Fallout again. I mean, people have been wanting Fallout New Vegas 2 forever, and I mean, why not give Obsidian the shot if they want it?
Dusty says Bethesda sucks.
No, I agree. I'm all on board with that one. I like the Fallout games, but I'm a big fan of the originals and Fallout 3.
I just
At least we had Doom Eternal.
Yeah,
Doom Eternal was fantastic. But then there was Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Did they develop Doom, or did they have someone?
It's id Software that develops Doom Eternal, but they publish.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
That's the only reason I think that they're surviving is that they have a lot of games that they publish for developers that are doing a good job right now.
If Doom Eternal didn't do well, I think Bethesda would have. I think that would have been the last straw because all of their IPs would have failed one by one. It would have been Fallout, then Wolfenstein, then Doom, and people would have just been like, "Fuck this, fuck you, Bethesda."
Yeah,
they should I mean, if you look at you're talking about modders grading. I mean, there's a lot of modders that are remaking the old games like Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas on the Fallout 4 engine, I guess. So I mean, that's pretty. They look really good. Like the Fallout 4 New Vegas group that's modding that game is they have a bunch of update YouTube videos, and it actually looks really good. And they're doing all new voice acting for it, but it's very like their voice actors are really good. Their voice actors are pretty similar to the originals.
Anything's better than the 5 that they usually hire.
yeah.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Skyrim.
No, it's there's a bunch of people that are excited about that. But I mean, the issue with the modders is like those games have been, because they're such small teams, those games have been in making forever. Like Fallout 4 New Vegas has been in the making literally since it came out. As soon as modders had access to the engine, they literally just started to go. And I mean, in all fairness, they're literally remaking every inch of the map. They're remaking all the voice acting. They're doing all the guns, all this stuff, and it looks nice. The game looks pretty, especially compared to the very bland color palette. But yeah,
You know, I want to have a conversation with these modders because honestly, like modders like those in particular, because I think they're fucking insane. Why would you spend years of your life on a project that could just get canceled by a cease and desist? That just doesn't seem like a good idea to
I
me.
understand passion projects to
Yeah.
an extent, but like
the thing
you're getting nothing probably out of this. Not
No,
even money.
they're making quite a bit actually. Like they have a lot of their
Do they have like a Patreon?
Their GoFundMe and Patreon's just fucking insane. They've had so much money people have given them for this because I wouldn't really worry about the season assist because you look at if Bethesda did that to any one of these modding groups, Bethesda would be done for their Fallout. Like they'd lose basically their entirety of their community.
They're saying they're literally calling it Fallout 4 New Vegas. It's just so much copyright all over it.
Yeah.
But what is Fallout? What is Bethesda gonna do? Like, what are they?
Take
If
it down. Have you not seen Nintendo and what they do to everything?
Yeah, but you're talking about two very different sized companies here.
I'm just saying,
Like if someone boycotts Nintendo says fuck you. If someone boycotts Bethesda, they can't afford to be boycotted right now. They don't make enough money right now to be boycotted.
If I was Bethesda's legal team right now, I'd be like, these little shits with all their time on their hands are making better games than us. We can't fucking have this. We got to.
Here's what you do. Here's what you do, Peter. You let them finish, and then you just copy and you take all their work.
They
Intellectual property. Or taking all that from you.
in all fairness to Bethesda, they do openly make it available to modders, so they understand modders can do much like that. If there's one thing that Bethesda does good, is they allow modders to just go ham on a lot of their games. So I mean, either that's because they don't feel like they're creative enough that they can do their own games properly, or whatever. But I mean, that is one good thing, is they do openly, like, they love modders. They openly say modder games. Nexus makes a ton of money off of Fallout modders, as well as Bethesda makes a ton of money off of the certified modders. So it's pretty good that way. And there are paid mods, and people do pay for them. I wouldn't, but people do pay for them.
Man, if I had legal ownership over a big copyright like that, I'd be waving my dick around so much in that regard. I'd be like, fucking cancel you.
I always think about...
Then someone would turn around and say, cancel you, and then you'd be fucking done.
I own the copyright, baby.
Yeah, but you own no money, because no one would buy it, because you just fucking ruined their hopes and dreams. You're like EA. You'd be the EA developer. That'd be you.
I always think of, with these types of cease and desist, I think of the Nintendo one with AM2R, or another Metroid 2 remake.
Oh, yeah.
Where, there's that team that had, fully gone in depth in, recreating Metroid 2. And then Nintendo came in and they were like, fucking cut that out. And people were pissed off, but then it was Nintendo, within a couple months, released their Metroid 2 remake. So it was oh, they'd been making one, and they were like, we're doing, please stop, we're doing that. We're selling this.
Okay.
Which makes sense. It's yeah.
That's totally understandable. That's 100% understandable. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I appreciate modders because they make a lot of games, or they make some games better. I do understand that it's come on, don't be a piece of shit. And if a company's hey, we're making this game and now you're also making it, don't do that. That's just unnecessary. But I mean, it's gonna be
cancel Bethesda.
It's gonna be interesting to see, because I'm really excited to see how it goes. I think Obsidian's on a really good upwards roll right now, and they are, I'd say, the industry standard for RPG choice based at this very moment. So I mean,
Bethesda, absolutely not. CD Projekt Red, number one all the way.
I was just gonna say
RPG choice.
I was gonna say maybe besides CD Projekt Red, but CD Projekt Red hasn't released a fucking game like that since Witcher 3.
Sorry, they have good games.
But that doesn't make them the industry standard at this very moment. If they released it a long time ago, I said at this moment they're
Witcher 3 isn't that old. It is and it isn't. It's 5 years old.
I think the standard is an absolute chaos for releasing stuff now. Because think of Apex Legends as well. They didn't have to hype that up. They were just yeah, Apex Legends is out, and everyone on the internet played it. Everyone ever. They didn't have to hype that up at all.
It was leaked, and then they were yeah, here it is. It's out. Here you go.
Yeah. That was good. Apparently season 6 just came out.
It's crazy how games just keep going after you stop playing them.
No, it's wild.
Warzone, how that's... I forget if we mentioned this. Warzone will be continuing on through the next Call of Duties, which
how do they do that? How does I guess Treyarch and Activision came to an agreement on that, or what? Because I know Treyarch makes the Black Ops series, and are they making the next one, or is Activision just kind of taken the mantle and they're we make the games now?
Infinity Ward did the last one, I believe, or Sledgehammer. So I think it's Treyarch next. I think they're just working together to bring the Battle Royale into each consecutive Call of Duty to make things, hopefully at least so if you spend all this money on cosmetics, they're not useless within a year.
At least they do. I find that system very interesting that they have 3 companies making games, because it always gives you you release your game, you have 3 years to make your next game, and then you just kind of cycle through. You have that expectation where it's nice. Not every Call of Duty is a great Call of Duty. Some of them become really repetitive, But I feel like it's a good way to keep your fan base relatively entertained. Like even the bad Call of Duties have been popular, regardless of them being bad.
Yeah.
Little kids in their mom's wallets. Yeah, World War II. God, ugh, that was some cringe. Let's forget about that one. Shouldn't have spent some money on that one.
There's okay moments.
Dude, do you remember the zombies? Do you remember the
campaign
zombies?
was all right.
Can we talk about
No,
the
I
zombies?
didn't.
Yeah, zombie.
I didn't like the zombies, but I did
Mm-hmm.
mind the story. The campaign was pretty okay.
Nah, it was-
I
You know,
like
I'm
that
with
Eric-
Peter. Never mind. It sucked. I was thinking about it. It was like, fuck that.
The thing for me is I liked that time period of military history, so I also enjoyed that aspect of it.
Did you like Battlefield 5?
I think they went too generic on the campaign as well, because they had the classic, like, you're going through the story and then your sergeant starts going crazy because war and turns into an asshole, and then whatever. It was too generic for me.
I was waiting for them to be like World at War, where they had grenades on veteran mode, like they were just absolutely everywhere. Like there was just everyone had 18 million grenades, and they're just like grenade, 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 grenade.
The cursed times.
Oh, I hated it. It was the worst. That was literally the worst. That was to me, hands down, the hardest Call of Duty to beat on veteran was that game.
I think for me, it's Black Ops 1.
Oh, infinite respawns. There was that one level, you're going down a hill, and I don't think I ever beat it on veteran. I think that's the one mission I never beat.
Oh, Peter didn't beat. Oh my, Peter, that's embarrassing.
Jared, I can't even tell you how much sweat and rage
I know
poured
exactly
into that controller.
I can see that map. I can visualize that exact fucking area where Peter's talking about.
Oh, yeah,
and,
no,
like, the trauma.
I can visually see it. It's been years, 5+ years, but I can see it.
The only Call of Duty other than World at War that that level, yes, I know what level you guys are talking about. And that was a fucking BS level. But the only other place of a Call of Duty where I actually got really fucking mad about on veteran was the Spec Ops missions on Modern Warfare 2 when you had to deal with the juggernauts in that favela. That was hands down the most annoying. Like, it was so touchy because there's that one strategy where you'd go into that first hut and literally just lace it with claymore. You'd lay in the corner and then try to survive. But if they didn't come in the right timing, it wouldn't work, and then you'd have to start over. And it's just I did that one with Mitch, I believe, when me and him were still gaming on Xbox quite frequently. We did that one, but it took forever to do. Like, I hated that mission. Or the
I
fog
think
one.
Peter and I did that together.
I just remember.
But it was just that was just so we'd spend hours doing that fucking mission. And now you do the new Spec Ops missions and the Juggernauts. There's that one mission that they have where they're throwing all the people at you. You're running through the houses. You have to go disarm or something. Those 4 objectives, and they just occasionally throw 4 Juggernauts at you. And those Juggernauts in that game are just as a pain in the ass as in the other game, except they move faster, and you're just like, son of a bitch. Like, at least in the old game, they would just walk towards you. They wouldn't really run towards you. It'd be like a jog. Now it's like a full-on sprint with a minigun, and you're just like, well, But yeah, I don't know. It's it'll be an interesting upcoming. I'm curious to see with the next gen consoles the games they come out with. Like, the GPUs are pretty good on both consoles. I did read a little more on why the PS5 was a little bigger, and it is because of how fast their GPU runs. Like, the Xbox GPU's more powerful, I believe, but it runs at 1.5 gigahertz, whereas the PlayStation runs a little faster. So the thing that was, like, when they were doing the comparison, apparently Microsoft was going for quiet. Like, their goal was to make it a powerful but quiet machine. They didn't want this huge ass fan blowing at you. But realistically, when you put the two consoles when you put the consoles beside each other, like, spec wise, they're pretty close. They just focused on a couple different things on each console. The PlayStation's so big apparently because the fan will run really hot. So what people are worried about is the PS5 is going to be loud. Whereas
PS4 is
The
really loud.
PS4 is already loud.
Or when you design
It's so loud.
when you look at the Xbox Series X, the reason they designed it that way is so they could have max out the airflow,
Like
so
a
that they didn't have to have
refrigerator.
the fan. Yeah, so they didn't have to have the fan on as loud and fast to cool it down. Basically, it just draws the air right through the bottom to the top.
It looks like a refrigerator, and it operates like one. Holy shit.
I don't know if this was like a
It's
fever
like
dream I
mechanics-
had or something.
It's like mechanics.
Did
work
they
for
announce-
different things.
They announced the Xbox Series S, where it's basically the same thing but even smaller.
Rumored still, not
I feel like
officially
I remember
announced.
seeing that.
No,
Okay.
it was a
I
rumor
did
thing.
hear.
It was like leaked. It's essentially
the-
confirmed.
Okay. On the smart delivery, there was some news from Remedy that if you get the Ultimate Edition of Control now, you'll get it on the new Xbox, but if you already have it, you won't get the smart delivery.
So I would need
which
to rebuy it.
it's really shitty. I think that's kind of fucking stupid. Like, if you're gonna give the Ultimate Edition owners that, give us that. Like, I would love to play Control again on a next-gen console. Because that game was beautiful, it was really fun.
Wait,
And
how's that working?
If you get the Ultimate Edition of Control on the current generation, you'll be able to play it on the next gen without having to buy it again. But if you have the Standard Edition and you've bought it already, you won't have that functionality. Like, you won't be able to play it on Xbox One or Xbox Series X without buying it again.
Boo.
Smart delivery is not enabled for the Standard Edition.
But will it be on Game Pass?
No, probably not.
Well, even if it is on
Rep-
Game Pass, you don't get to play the upgraded version. You can play the old version.
So because they're really emphasizing Game Pass now, right, with the new generation of console and everything. Because that's like the big push is like a lot of things are on Game Pass. Do you think like that has to raise price then, right? Like if you're putting a lot of big titles on Game Pass, that has to raise the price of the game.
What about the xCloud? They're adding that to Game Pass. Only way you can get it is Game Pass. It's zero upgrading charges. They seem to
I
just
think
be
Game
adding
Pass-
more value. Like,
Yeah, I think enough people have an idle subscription and don't use it very frequently, but renew it every month that it just adds up enough for them to justify. Like, I don't think that the user to account base is the same.
Do you think that could technically win them? Do you think Game Pass could be one of the reasons that Xbox wins? I mean, I guess nowadays it's not really a console war because so
That's
many
what I
things
was
are
gonna
going
say.
cross-platform. But like, if there is a console war, like let's say they decide not to have as many things go cross-platform, like people don't want to play nice with each other. Like for example, the Marvel Avengers thing, where Sony's like, "Fuck you guys, you don't get Spider-Man on Xbox, but you'll get it on PlayStation." It's like if that's the mentality they're taking with it, and then cross-platform play doesn't end up growing as much as people think it will. Do you think that Game Pass would be enough for Microsoft to take the console wars? Because Game Pass to me is a lot better than the PlayStation Plus version of it. Right?
I don't even think a console wars exists in 2020, to be honest. Like, so I was listening to a podcast about this like last week, and I really vibed with what they were saying. How like Sony, they're going the traditional route, you know, very well developed exclusive games for the platform, and you got to buy the new console to get access to them, how it's like always been. But Microsoft, I feel like they almost don't even give a shit if you buy the new console. Subscribe to Game Pass, they're all about the services. It's just, I think they're starting to diverge in such different directions that I don't even think we can say it's a console war anymore.
Well, the consoles are almost getting up to PC level now.
Mm-hmm.
Like like the new Xbox has more powerful system
Teraflops.
System specs than some of the baseline PCs that they have out there. So I mean, to me, it's like, well, at this point, Microsoft's better just to cross-play their PC Xbox games like completely, and then just make money off of their entire industry. Like there's no point in them just pushing Xbox. That just doesn't make sense.
I heard.
I think Xbox said they have no plans to put Game Pass on like PlayStation or Nintendo, but I think that would be brilliant because even on other consoles, like completely different consoles, they could still be making money from people. I think that would be such a good idea.
Even if they make Game Pass a little more expensive on the other consoles, like made it a slightly a slightly higher subscription fee because you're not using their console, just to give a little bit of push to buy their console instead of the others, but not an entire push where it's like, yeah, fuck everyone else who doesn't buy our console.
I heard that they're considering taking out the Xbox word out of Game Pass. So it'd just be Game Pass, not Xbox Game Pass. And they've already kind of like with Ultimate, they've already like pushing towards PC a lot. So I think it wouldn't surprise me if they went in that direction. I think the only thing that'd be holding them back from putting it on other consoles is just all those Microsoft exclusives, because I think that's still a large part of the value of Game Pass, that you get these new titles at launch on PC or Xbox, but like you couldn't have that on the Switch.
Yeah. I
daydreamed that they put Master Chief Collection on the Switch though, and that would be a dream come true. That'd be so sick.
PC just got Halo 3. Let's slow down there, Eric.
Yeah, I know. It was like a random daydream where I was like, that'd be so cool to just be playing some Halo like while watching TV on the Switch.
Dreams.
Yeah. I don't know. It's it'll be interesting to see what they go with it. It'll be interesting to see just what this is the last generation of actual like console instead of going into more of a PC side for them. Because I mean everyone talks about PC being the master race, and then it's just like, well then why? I mean Microsoft obviously that's what they were first, is they had their dirty little fingers in PCs, but now they have their dirty little fingers in they've always had their dirty little fingers in consoles since Xbox. So it's just like, why not push back towards the PCs? They'd make the same amount of money both ways. As long as they made the Xbox more like a baseline PC where you can plug it in anywhere, which it virtually is. You can plug a keyboard into the Xbox and use a keyboard and mouse.
Don't do that.
Can you not?
Yeah, you can, but don't do it.
Okay. You can do a lot. I mean, that was always the biggest thing with Xbox, right? It was people. I love how people back in the day with Call of Duty would always be like, "Oh, you're a mouse and keyboard user, you fucking loser," and all that stuff. And now it's like, "Oh, but we have cross-platform play with PC, Xbox, and PlayStation on Warzone," where it's like, okay, anyone knows that PC, you clearly have an advantage in first-person shooters.
My aim
just
assist,
because of the reaction.
My aim assist will compensate for their raw abilities.
But you know what I mean?
If you are good enough, you can still be better than mouse and keyboard players, because I'm sure you've all seen like certain controller players where they're just annihilating the entire competition, even on crossplay, and it's just like, oh fuck. Okay.
I'm more saying with like there's no like, yeah, obviously there are people that are always going to be better on different things.
Yeah,
I'm saying inherently moving a mouse to a location on the screen is going to be a little more accurate than moving an analog stick across, because then you have to time like when to release it, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but no, totally.
Definitive advantage.
There's always going to be someone who's better on different versions of it. Like, I mean, some people just hate mouse and keyboard. I don't mind it since I started using it for Siege. Though I haven't played Siege in like 6 months, because I was saying this to Peter the other day. I made it to the top of where I wanted to make it, and now I'm scared to play it again because I don't want to lose where I was. I've reached my goal. I can quit. I've retired.
What about Sam Fisher being added to the game?
No, I don't care.
Ooh, but he's your stealth boy. You love him.
Well, I love Splinter Cell, but I didn't like the most recent one. I enjoyed the old ones.
Damn, I thought he would have been enough to make you return to Siege.
Nah, I wouldn't even really care to necessarily use him in Siege. It'd just be another Caveira player like character. So it's just like runs around with pistols, super stealthy, really annoying. People hate them because they're just fucking annoying. So I could just see it being the exact same thing, just Sam Fisher's getting pasted over top of it. So I don't know. I'm looking to see some other games. I mean, I got a few games. I'm getting a little more back into those RPGs. I really like RPG games. That's more my...
I've been playing... I just bought Paper Mario, the Origami Kingdom for the Switch, and I've been playing that. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it, first off. And... but it's the first game in a long time that I'm just like super into the story, and there's a really sad moment in a Nintendo game that I just passed, and I was like, what? Well, you're not supposed to do that.
I wanted to get that. It looks really good. It looks cute.
Yeah.
Combat looks really weird, like compared to what I've seen, because it's like a weird circle system or something. But like, it does look cool. It looks interesting.
It's enjoyable. But I'm enjoying my purchase.
Full price game.
I've been really interested in getting it. I talked to Eric. Like, I've been getting more into RPGs. I'd love to do Breath of the Wild. It's just really hard for me to spend $80 on a game like that right now, because I just don't know if I will. I don't know. I've been really on.
For me, I will always recommend Breath of the Wild. That's probably become one of my favorite games of all time. I've put well over 200 hours into it. And I still will be going back like over and over again to play some more. That game's so good.
Yeah, like for me,
it's been interesting to see.
I'll go for it, Eric.
It's been interesting to see how opinions of Breath of the Wild have kind of changed since it came out. Because now people are kind of like, it's a really good game, but it's not a good Zelda game. Which I understand, because it takes a completely different approach. But I still think it's probably one of the best games, if not the best game on the Switch.
You hear that a lot in companies or in fans. They'll be like, "This is a good this style of game," or "This is a good game, but it's not a good whatever Sega is part of game or Saga is part of or anything like that." Like I mean, I always say that for example, that Fall, like I'll use the Fallout ones as easiest, or Mass Effect, for example. Like I really enjoyed. I actually did not mind playing Andromeda because the combat system was really well done. But to me, it's a good shooter game. It's not a good Mass Effect game. It kind of lost the mechanics that Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 had. But it was a good shooter game. Like, it was entertaining. I like open world stuff. I kind of got over the fact that the characters look like fucking pastel-y nothing. But
like Wallace and Gromit.
So it's like, they basically look like Wallace and Gromit. So, I mean, I got past that, and I didn't mind playing it. I kind of took it as what it is. I took it as, like, not a true Mass Effect game, but it was like a Mass Effect universe game. But I mean, you hear that a lot where it's like people are like, "This is not a good this game," and I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily true. I feel like that's almost something where people are just trying to beat around the bushes. Even myself, like I'll call my shit on that one. I think I'm just trying to beat around the bushes and find the silver lining in something. I think games can go in different directions and still be a good whatever game it is. Like Breath of the Wild was a different direction for the Zelda games being open world, right? Because I didn't play a lot of Zelda games, so I'm not as familiar with the series. But I don't believe none of the other ones were open, like true open world like that, right? It was just that one.
It's sort of the very first one to an extent, if you want. Like, people consider Breath of the Wild a remake of the very first Legend of Zelda, in a way.
Okay, so then to me, it's like it is a good Zelda game. Then if it's a good game, it's a good Zelda game. It's just a slight different mechanic they were focusing on. They were focusing on the open world aspect and that kind of area, whereas maybe other Zelda games weren't focused on whatever they wanted to focus on for that game. I just find it's a really cheap cop-out, and I say it a lot too, so like I said, I'll call my shit, but I feel like
Miyamoto said his goal with Legend of Zelda was to like make it feel like you're a kid walking through a forest and exploring, and I'd say like Breath of the Wild does that fantastically. Like, it feels like you're just exploring a whole world brimming with like all sorts of stuff to discover,
because that's what you're doing.
Everyone
that is what you're doing.
Everyone but me has beaten it, right? Played it through to the end.
Yeah.
In this group,
I haven't beat it, but I played it a bunch.
I want to try it. I'm gonna wait and see. If anyone has a hard copy they want to loan me, I'd be down for it.
You should buy a Wii U and then buy the Wii U version.
No, I refuse.
I wonder if I'll let you borrow my Wii U if you want to play it. I wonder if I still have the physical copy. I don't know.
No, but I have my Wii U.
Yeah,
I've been tempted to buy a few more Nintendo games. I really enjoy the old Mario games, and I enjoyed the Super Mario Bros on Wii. That was a lot of fun. I'd be tempted to get a few more of those style of games. But I don't know. I've been walking the line because I have a lot of games on my Xbox that I haven't beaten that I should probably actually fucking sit down
I was
and
about
play.
to say, just swipe the credit card. Anything's possible when you have a credit
No,
card.
I don't need to swipe the credit card.
When I bought Paper Mario, I also saw on the store they have Towerfall on Switch now, so I bought that.
Oh, good.
Towerfall's a great game. Peter fucking hates that game, but
I'm not playing that game with a D-pad, without a D-pad. I'm sorry.
That is,
Sorry, I'm
that
not
is
using
my-
a fucking little fucking bullshit Joy-Con.
The Pete, like I think that was my funnest thing when we did the boot was when you had Towerfall in it, and that's like one of the few platforming-esque games that I'm actually able to compete with most of you at. Whereas a lot of other platformers, I'm not the best platformer by no means. But that game, there's something about that game that I really enjoy. It's really fun. I'm really sad. I'm glad it was on the Switch. That's sweet. I'm sad that it was only on PlayStation.
Yeah, I was surprised to see it, honestly, but
Grumble,
grumble.
grumble.
Well, God forbid that Sony allows something to be released on Microsoft they want as their own. That was really successful. Which fair enough.
Absolutely. They're keeping Spider-Man. That's Spider-Man under lock and key.
That was the dumbest thing. Like, that's so annoying. I get that they're trying to push people towards buying the PlayStation 5, but it's such an unnecessary thing to do is be like, well, you can have... Because you already had the Spider-Man games, which people already really wanted for Spider-Man, and now you're taking him out of the Marvel Avengers game if you're not on PlayStation. Like, that's basically just a piss move. They're just like, yeah, we're grumpy. You guys
Just
get
buy
it.
just buy a PS4 or a PS5, then you can have it.
To me,
I'm not
it's one of those
buying
things
whatever you guys
significant.
get.
It's one of those things significant enough that like we're not getting an entire character with mechanics and abilities. We should be getting a cheaper price game because we're getting content removed from it that other players are getting.
It's only one.
I know that won't happen. It's only one character, but it's still like give me $5 off. I don't give a shit. They charge fucking $10 or $15 to download that if they ever did that.
Yeah, but Peter, you're also looking at it this way too. It's like it's called Avenger. It's an Marvel's Avengers game. It's not Marvel's Avengers minus Spider-Man game.
I mean, he wasn't even an Avenger for a long time. Be lucky he's even there.
Yeah, but now he's like the Avenger. Like he's taking over essentially the mantle of Tony Stark. So I mean,
Hulk wasn't even an Avenger for a long time. So why is he in the game? We should take him out.
Yeah,
No one has the right to
He
call.
wasn't an Avenger.
I maybe he doesn't consider. I'm not at all interested in the game. I don't give a shit. I think it's gonna fail miserably. So
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
I've heard some people are liking it. Like the ones that have played early access, they're saying it's good.
I don't have time for
I don't
Destiny style games. I don't have time for these games where I'm just meant to fucking commit my whole life. I gotta fucking marry it. Put a ring on my goddamn Xbox and fucking have a happy honeymoon. I don't know, man.
Haven't you already married your ex?
Yeah, but it's not. I'm not happy with the relationship. Okay, but I don't want to leave because like it's fine. It's fine.
Because you're too invested.
Here's a
Like,
quitter.
you have the joy accounts and the mortgages all. It's like it's too much.
I can't change at this point. I'm in too deep.
What are you in too deep with?
Don't you worry about it. If you want to find out what I'm
Peter's
in deep with,
relationship.
you got to find out in the next LC podcast.
We probably won't remember. Just a heads up.
Yeah.
You're not invested.
Peter's making false promises here for the next podcast.
I would never do that to you guys. I love you guys. If you want to see more of us, what we talk about, and more, make sure to follow our Discord, leave us a like, leave us a follow, all that fun, merry stuff. Any closing remarks, guys?
The Capitals and Islanders are tied in the second period.
That's not relevant. Please move on.
That is a relevant thing.
No, Eric, please, comments, we can end.
Play
Eric has a nice hat.
Deadly Premonition on the Switch. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Play Live Connection's new mobile game,
Eh?
A Life in Peter's Shoes.
Dude, that's a rough story. I don't know if everyone can handle that.
Rated R.
All right. Have a good Sunday, guys. See ya.
Yeah.